Well. I want to show you some cool freaking stuff that we just worked on. All right, so right now, out of 100 people clicking your ad, you have about 10 people finishing the form. Done. Very bad. Not very bad, actually. A good number is anywhere between 15 to 20%. So what that means is essentially, if we get that single thing up to KPI, you don't need to spend more on ads. You don't need to spend more on all these different things that like people's mind goes. It's okay. My mind does the same thing. Without spending a single dollar more on ads, you can have a 1.5x or a 2x amount more of leads. So out of every 100 people right now, you'll spend X amount of money, let's just say, $50 to get to get enough people to have out of 10 people finishing the form. Okay, right, that's a little bit weird math. Okay, you get the concept. If we have 100 people clicking the ad and 10 people finishing the form, if we get our form dialed in a little bit better, we can get 15 to 20 people finishing the form, which means 15 leads instead of 10 leads, 20 leads instead of 10 leads, 1.5x to 2x. So, how are we doing that? Well, this is what you had before. You had a form type, there's a bunch of like small little details here. You have higher intent, which is usually you want to go more volume. You have flexible form delivery, you always want to have Advantage Plus off. There's all these different tiny things. No greeting, no intro, which you'll see why. And then you got a crap ton of questions, along with stuff that should be expectation set in the triage call. For example, asking if all homeowners are available in the consultation, that can turn people off, that can make people like kind of feel like they're just there, you're just asking a question to sell them. It removes the nice edge, right? I see why you want to ask a question, but even if they say yes, it doesn't mean that they're actually going to follow through with that. What is called, that's something you said during the call. That's something you mentioned during the call. Do you own your home? That's obviously, I see why you'd want to ask that, but like again, ask that on your triage call. And if for whatever reason you're getting a lot of people who don't own their homes, then you can put a pixel, and then this is getting a little bit more complicated, but you can put a pixel on your booking calendar link of the people who book, or the closing calendar link, which means it'll feed the data back to Meta of the people who actually have their homes, or the ideal people who actually close, or the actual ideal people you want to book in. But you don't put that on the form, right? So that's unnecessary. I see why you'd want to ask this question, but it doesn't change anything. It's not filtering anyone out. No matter whether they're looking to move ASAP or they're just exploring, the targeting learns that they're equal, because it doesn't change anything. As opposed to like, someone who doesn't own their home is not equal to someone who owns their home in the eyes of the algorithm, because one person continues on and the other person gets kicked out. So there's no reason to ask this question either. That's why with the new Dagency 1.0 form, copy, we obviously have the background image and a couple of things. We only have 2 questions here, and these are the 2 proven questions that you do have. Because if you think about it like this, after they click the form, people are dropping. Every new question you add drops like 15% of people. So by asking 5 questions, boom, that drops a bunch of people. By asking people's addresses and zip codes and everything like that, that drops a significant amount of people. We rely on the triage call and on the sound follow-up process to be able to actually book those people in. So that's why we make a form a lot more raw. I changed this text a little bit. Claim your complimentary expert consultation, custom your project. Super small. I mean, that's not necessarily the biggest change ever. I want to focus on the big 4 pillar changes, which is removing the amount of questions in the form, and removing the addresses and more personal questions towards the end. Now, the other 2 is this little intro right here. You're 17 seconds away from the luxury bathroom you've been longing for. As soon as people click on the form, another big drop. Now, there's all these different points where people will drop off, as in, people will click the form and like a certain percent of people will like exit out of the form. The first is straight up at the beginning. Like as soon as they click it and then they see that, they're like, oh, I don't want to do a form. That looks ugly, whatever it may be. There's white background on white. It's compared to, boom, a lot cleaner. Also, you're 17 seconds away. There's a lot of data on this, but just tying down the fact that you're literally like 2 seconds, this should take 2 seconds. They love it, works better. So we were 17 seconds away from luxury bathroom you've been longing for. Adding that little first pillar in there is helpful. Now, this is the beauty part. You have a privacy policy. Your current privacy policy is literally just says privacy policy. Now, actually, I don't even think it says anything. Let's see. Boom, privacy policy. Yeah, it just says that. And then receive updates, which people are probably gonna check off, uncheck. Our privacy policy, obviously, you have all of the necessary stuff there, but it affirms that they need to submit below. because that's, I'm sure, if you like when you're dealing with mass amount of people, there's a reason you want second grade reading levels. There's a reason you want all these different types of things. So by creating a last step, submit below, we appreciate your response and we'll reach out shortly, we're making sure that they finish. Also, we're reverberating that it's the last step. People don't like not finishing what they start, especially when they're this far in the form. There's a big like thing when you're coding apps, or let's call it just UX in general, user interface. People want to confirm, they like the fact that they get that like extra confirmation that something is completely submitted, that something is completely done. So last step, submit below, we reach your response. We're making sure that they know that this, one, they finished their loop, but also we're giving them that nice pat on the back that, hey, it's finished, until they submit, and then redirects them to this. Now, this is a little secret weapon. Your ending right here is, we received your question, we're excited to help you, blah, 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 blah. I already clicked out, I don't even care. Right? And then it starts conversations on Messenger, and it's like, call now, which maybe some people do, but like no one's really calling now. They're scrolling on the toilet, they see your ad, right? They're not calling you from that. Compared to, so they submit the thing after asking a billion questions, and they click the privacy policy, and they go from there, and after their privacy policy, they go to a review screen where they review their info, so it's even more friction, which I also removed that. And then it takes the ending and just says, we received your request, and like they don't do anything with that. No one's reading that, and then no one's definitely calling you, and no one's messaging. Right? Or it's like a low intent message, because you can't really do stuff with messaging. It's so much better if you have their number. We confirm their information after they press submit right here. They're home free. That's my main job. However, we give them that nice loop. Last step, submit below. They submit, they feel good about themselves, and then they see, wait, your request is not yet complete. Immediately hooking them back in. To finish your request, okay, to finish what you start, again, psychology, book your in-home design consultation with Carlos below. So we're anchoring the value, and then on top of that, we're saying in-home. And then even the booking button says finish request. And when you click that, it takes them directly to a booking page where they directly book onto your calendar. Now, not everyone is going to book. However, even if it gets secures maybe an extra 4 people who would have slipped through the cracks before and book, boom, right? That's out of 4 people, hopefully you're closing at least a 25% ratio. Boom, you just secured an extra deal because you have the right form in place, right? Extra, what, 10, 15 grand? Boom. Finish request, booking, as opposed to just, oh, we received your request, blah, 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 call now. So yeah, I think that's helpful. It's pretty fire. We can now double your leads and increase your book appointments just off of that one change. And now, obviously one thing doesn't immediately take hold like that. However, it's a big piece of when you stack all these together, along with the proper booking process and everything like that, how ads can give a disproportionate return to ad spend. So yeah, peace out.